U.S. Lacrosse presents the 2014 NFHS and Youth Rules Interpretation DVD.
Thank you for taking the time to learn from this Rules Interpretation DVD. Whether you're an official, coach, or spectator, understanding the rules and enforcing them in a standardized way is a key component to keeping the men's game safe and fun for all of its participants. U.S. Lacrosse is the only organization providing a comprehensive sport-specific official certification, and it is designed to keep the game safe, fair, and fun. This DVD is just one of the many educational tools that the U.S. Lacrosse's Officials Training and Education Program provides to its members. A rule interpretation is merely one component of official certification. Completing the other requirements is essential to standardizing the equality of officiating on the field. All lacrosse participants have a responsibility to support the mission of U.S. Lacrosse to inspire participation while protecting the integrity of the sport. Thank you for doing your part and for all that you give to the game. Good luck in your season.
NFHS is proud to partner with U.S. Lacrosse to bring you this important rules interpretation DVD. Since 1920, the National Federation of State High School Associations has led the development of education-based interscholastic sports and activities that help students succeed in their lives. We set directions for the future by building awareness and support, improving the participation experience, establishing consistent standards and rules for competition, and helping those who oversee high school sports and activities. NFHS views this U.S. Lacrosse rule interpretation video as an excellent training tool for boys lacrosse officials. For additional resources, officials should consider the NFHS Interscholastic Officiating course available at the NFHS website and the U.S. Lacrosse Officials Education and Training Certification Program, a sport-specific, comprehensive training and certification program for boys lacrosse. U.S. Lacrosse, NFHS, and Arbiter Sports are partnering together to bring you an expanded central hub through your Arbiter Sports account. Check out this additional content for continuing up-to-date, in-season information.
Before introducing the 2014 points of emphasis, let's first review the points of emphasis for the 2013 lacrosse season. The NFHS Rules Committee called attention to 4 points of emphasis for officials, coaches, and players to focus on: hits to the head and neck, properly worn and fitted equipment, sideline sportsmanship, and field dimensions. The committee reminds officials that while every season there are new points of emphasis, the previous season's points of emphasis remain important. 2014 points of emphasis. The points of emphasis identified for the 2014 boys lacrosse season are age-specific rules, properly worn and fitted equipment, slashing, and NOCSAE standard lacrosse balls. Age-specific rules. The NFHS Rules Committee wants to point out that the rules in the NFHS rulebook are designed for high school age players. For games played by younger age groups, age-specific rules should be utilized. U.S. Lacrosse has established such age-specific rules for youth play, which are contained in the back of the NFHS rulebook and can also be found on www.uslacrosse.org/rules. Properly worn equipment. The rules of play require players to wear a number of items of protective equipment, including a helmet with a face mask, mouth guard, protective gloves, shoulder pads, arm pads, and shoes. Furthermore, the rules state that these items must be professionally manufactured and not altered in any way. Coaches, officials, and players are reminded that these items must be properly fitted and properly worn at all times to maximize protection. Items of protective equipment that are improperly fitted increase the risk of injury for players. Likewise, items that have been altered from the original manufacturer's specifications reduce the protective characteristics of the product. Helmet. The helmet must be designed for lacrosse and meet the NOCSAE test requirements. The helmet must have a face mask and a chin strap that is firmly attached at all times. Mouthpiece. All players must wear a professionally manufactured intraoral mouthpiece that protects the teeth and supporting structure while also protects and separates the biting surfaces. All mouthpieces should be properly fitted to the individual's teeth. The mouthpiece shall be of any color other than clear or white and must be worn correctly during play. Gloves. Gloves are to be padded with unaltered palms that are made specifically for lacrosse. Shoulder pads. Shoulder pads are made specifically for lacrosse and in no way should be altered from the manufacturer's original construction. Shoulder pads are optional for a goalkeeper. Arm pads. Arm pads should be placed over the elbow and be made specifically for lacrosse. Arm pads are optional for a goalkeeper. Optional equipment. Optional but recommended equipment are rib pads and a protective cup. Goalie equipment. In addition to the helmet, gloves, and mouthpiece, the goalie is required to wear at all times a throat protector and a chest protector. Protective cup. The NFHS highly recommends and encourages all players to wear a protective cup while participating in boys lacrosse. Ensuring that players are not playing with illegal equipment and are properly wearing all required equipment is a major responsibility for all lacrosse coaches. Coaches are reminded of their obligation to carefully inspect their players' equipment and instruct them on how to properly wear this equipment. Slashing. The NFHS is placing an emphasis on slashing in 2014 as there's no place in the game for this type of foul. All participants are reminded that all slashes are illegal and coaches must properly instruct their players to avoid making such slashes. Officials should be especially alert to call these penalties whenever they occur. If a player commits multiple slashes, multiple fouls should be called. The penalty for a slash can be 1 to 3 minutes depending on the official's judgment of the severity and perceived intent of the personal foul. In addition, if a player initiates an excessive, violent, or uncontrolled slash to the head or neck area, then the penalty is to be a 2 or 3 minute non-releasable penalty. Watch these next examples of slashes that should be penalized. In this first clip, the offensive player has possession of the ball and drives toward the goal. Watch number 40 as he slides over to double team the attacking player. In this clip, the offensive player is carrying the ball behind the goal as a second defender slides in and delivers a slash to his back. Watch it from this angle and watch as the defenseman delivers this check with no intention of dislodging the ball. This next clip, the blue team is attempting to clear the ball. As the clearing player is forced towards the bench area, watch how the riding defender swings at the player's arm. In this next play, watch as the defending player delivers an uncontrolled and unnecessary check. These clips are just a few examples of the different types of unnecessary slashes occurring in the game today. NOCSAE standard game balls. All three governing bodies for lacrosse in the United States, U.S. Lacrosse, the NCAA, and the NFHS, have agreed to mandate that only balls marked as meets NOCSAE standard will be allowed for use in games. Beginning in 2014, the only balls deemed legal for play will be those that state meets NOCSAE standard and type size that will be simple for consumers and game officials to read. It is the responsibility of the home team to provide legal balls for play. If the home team cannot provide legal balls for play, they shall ask the visiting team to provide them. In this scenario, a technical foul shall be assessed on the home team and officials award the opening faceoff to the visiting team. If neither team is able to provide legal balls for play, the game cannot be played. If a ball is found to be illegal after play has begun, the officials shall remove the illegal ball from play and restart with a legal ball. If an illegal ball is found after a goal is scored, no penalty is assessed and the goal will stand. These standards establish performance requirements in the size, weight, compressibility, and other characteristics of the ball. These standards were established to minimize risk for the players. Coaches, athletic directors, and program administrators are reminded it is their obligation to supply and only utilize legal balls for play. For more information and resources about this ball standard, please go to www.uslacrosse.org/2014 ball standard. National Federation of State High School Association 2014 rule changes. Rule 1, Section 2, the field. The size of the substitution and table area has been expanded from 10 yards to 20 yards. 2 lines shall be drawn 10 yards on either side of the center line. The scorer's table should be placed at least 6 yards from the sideline at the center line. The area bounded by the sideline, the 2 lines perpendicular to the sideline and the scorer's table, should be referred to as the table area. Only players serving penalty time, players ready to substitute on the fly, Officials, official scorers, and timers are allowed in this area. Due to the larger substitution and table area, the coaches and bench areas have been reduced from 20 yards to 15 yards. This larger area for substitutions complements the new substitution rules by allowing more space for players to get on and off the field. It will also allow for better sight lines for table personnel. Rule 1, Section 7, Article 5. Article 5 has been added in 2014 to state that any cross used in the face-off may not have tape on the plastic throw to the head. Officials should be aware of this, and the player must be substituted for if he comes out with an illegally taped stick to face-off. It's recommended that officials meet with the face-off players for both teams prior to the beginning of the contest to inspect their sticks and go over their expectations for face-offs throughout the game. Rule 1, Section 9, Article 1G6, Duplicate Numbers. This rule now states that duplicate numbers on jerseys shall not be permitted on the same team and that legal numbers are from 0 to 99. For example, there may not be a player with the number 1 and 01. Rule 1, Article 10, Section 1H has been added to the rule book to address eye black. The rule now states that it's illegal to have eye shade that is not a solid stroke or include words, numbers, logos, or other symbols within the eye shade. This rule was added to address sportsmanship issues. Rule 1, Article 10, Section 2, Electronic Equipment. This rule now states that electronic equipment may be used during play by coaches, non-playing team members, athletic trainers, or other individuals officially connected to the team. No electronic equipment shall be used to communicate with the 10 on-field players. Rule 2, Section 5, Game Officials. The NFHS now recommends that 3 officials be used to control the game instead of 2. A 4th official, also known as a chief bench official, may also be used. This will allow officials to better control the game and minimize risk to the players on the field. Rule 2, Section 6, Articles 1 and 7, Duties of Game Officials. This rule now clarifies that an official's authority begins when they arrive on the field and ends when they leave the immediate playing facility. It is recommended that officials be on the field at least 20 minutes prior to the scheduled start time to conduct the coach's certification, coin toss, meet with face-off players, and brief the table staff on expectations for the game. After the conclusion of the game, officials should leave the field together. And when they leave the immediate playing facility, their jurisdiction has ended and the score has been approved. Rule 2, Section 10, Article 1. This rule now states that a minimum of 4 legal balls for play should be spaced equidistant from each other 5 yards beyond the end line and 4 on both sidelines. On the bench side, the ball should be placed outside the coaches or bench area and at the scorer's table. As a reminder, all game balls beginning in 2014 must be marked with meets NOCSAE standard NFHS. Rule 4, Section 4, Article 3, Facing Off. During the face-off in all penalty situations, there must be 4 players in the defensive area and 3 players in the offensive area. The only exception to this is if a team has 3 of its players in the penalty area, a player may come out of its defensive area to take the face-off. If during a face-off a penalty time expires, the player serving may not re-enter play until after possession is gained, or the ball goes across either restraining line, whichever occurs first. This rule now allows for the offended teams to maintain its advantage during a penalty situation. Rule 4, Section 10, Offside. The committee has simplified the offside rule to now state that a team is considered offside when it has more than 6 players in its offensive half of the field, including players in the penalty box, or when they have more than 7 players in its defensive half of the field, including players in the penalty box. This change lets the foul reflect unfair advantage and minimizes risk by allowing officials to count forward, keeping their attention on the active side of the field. Rule 4, Section 12, Offside Enforcement. This section has been modified to address some confusion with enforcement of offside by simplifying the rule. This rule now states that if only one team is offside, a technical foul shall be called against the offending team. If both teams are offside and one team has possession, the player shall be placed onside and the ball shall be awarded to the team in possession. Or if no team is in possession, the player shall be placed onside and the ball awarded according to alternate possession. Rule 4, Section 22, Substitution Procedures. The NFHS rules have changed the substitution rules to match other rule codes and improve the pace of play. This rule now states that substitution may take place without the necessity of waiting for suspension of play by an official. Players may enter the field of play from the substitution area under the following conditions. The player must be properly equipped, and the player may not enter the substitution area until his substitution is imminent. He must wait for the player leaving the field to exit first via the substitution area. In addition, he must yield his position in the substitution area to those exiting the field. These substitutions may take place during live play and while play is suspended. During suspended play, substitution may take place at the end of periods, after scoring of a goal, during an injury or equipment timeout, and after a time-serving penalty or team timeout. This new language eliminates the use of a horn for substitution and will simplify the substitution procedures for coaches, players, and officials. Rule 5, Section 3, Article 5, Illegal Body Checks. Article 5 has been added to this rule to reinforce the need to eliminate body checks that target defenseless players. This rule now stipulates that a body check on a player in a defenseless position is a 2 or 3 minute non-releasable penalty. An excessively violent violation of this rule may result in an ejection. This includes, but is not limited to, body checking a player from his blind side, body checking a player who has his head down in an attempt to play a loose ball, or body checking a player whose head is turned away to receive a pass, even if that player turns toward the contact immediately before the body check. These next 3 clips are examples of body checks on defenseless players. In this first play, the defender knocks a pass down, and as the goalie and attackman battle for the ball, watch as that same defender comes in and body checks the defenseless attackman to the ground. This is an example of a defenseless player with his head down attempting to pick up a loose ball. In this next play, the attackman is turned to receive a pass from his teammate when the defenseman slides and makes contact with the player. This play is an example of a defenseless player whose head and body is turned to receive a pass. In this last play, the players are competing for a loose ball on the end line when a defenseman comes into the play and makes contact with an opposing player attempting to pick up the ball. These clips are examples of illegal body checks on defenseless players and should be penalized with a 2 to 3 minute non-releasable penalty. Rule 5, Section 4, Hits to the head or neck. Hits to the head and neck continue to be a concern of the game. The committee has increased the penalty for this foul, and any violation of this foul shall result in a 2 to 3 minute non-releasable foul. An excessively violent violation of this rule may also result in an ejection. These next 2 clips demonstrate fouls of this nature. Watch in this first play as the player with the ball releases a shot, and the defender continues to make contact and follows through with his hands to the player's head. This type of contact is now a minimum of 2 minutes. In this next clip, watch as the red player goes after a ground ball near the sideline when the midfielder for white comes in and makes helmet-to-helmet contact. Watch it from this angle and see how the white midfielder lowers and leads with his head before making contact. This could be considered spearing by the defender, but regardless, he made contact with the head, and this play should result in a 2 to 3 minute non-releasable foul. Rule 7, Section 2F, Penalty Time. This rule now specifies that no more than 3 players on a team can be in the penalty area at any time. If more than 3 players on a team are assessed a penalty, time to be served concurrently, the additional penalized team members must wait in the bench area immediately next to the scorer's table, but not in the table area until the penalty time of one of the 3 players in the penalty area expires. This rule eliminates the possibility of a team playing with fewer than 7 players because of penalties. If a goal is scored and a player is still waiting in the bench area to serve his penalty, he cannot be released until the time of his penalty has started to elapse. This rule is consistent with other rule codes and will minimize risk for participants while also clarifying the procedure for administration of multiple penalties and substitution. Rule 7, Section 8, Article 2K, Slow Whistle Technique. The NFHS has simplified the procedure for the final 2 minutes of the game in a flag-down slow whistle situation. This revision now states that during a flag-down situation, the officials will stop play to enforce penalties should a subsequent second defensive foul occur during the final 2 minutes of regulation play with the team that's ahead possessing the ball in the goal area, unless a scoring play is imminent. This concludes the NFHS rule interpretation section of this video. For additional resources, see other videos on this DVD, including a U.S. Lacrosse video on concussions in lacrosse, 2012 and 2013 U.S. Lacrosse You Make the Call video series, as well as a brief section on new youth rules and points of emphasis for the 2014 season. These resources, among many others for coaches, parents, players, and officials, can also be found at uslacrosse.org.